The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Questions podcast from the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. I am Tim Fitzgerald, and I am beleaguered. Beleaguered. Also with me, Riley Gates right there, Zach Carlson. We're sponsored by The Fridge. Last night against the Baylor Bears, a much better team than Kansas State, I get it, broke my spirit. Kansas State was not competitive in that game. Do not be fooled by the final score if you didn't watch it. That was a 30-point loss that changed late in the game when Baylor knew it was going to cruise to a victory, and Kansas State finally got the matchup it needed against the walk-ons and scrubs.
If Baylor's walk-ons and scrubs had played the whole game, K-State might have won.
Might have won. Did they play that guy who does the videos of dribbling and then taking horrific shots but looks really good? I don't remember that guy's name. He was at the All-Star game.
Oh, I didn't
Celebrities
watch the All-Star
Weekend.
game.
You know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
The fat guy that plays a point guard and everything.
Oh.
I swear to God, Baylor had his brother.
There was one kid that they were cheering for. Like, the crowd had not cheered that loud all night until this kid got in.
He's like a
Started
PowerPoint.
jacking up shots.
Yeah, he's like a PowerPoint. He's like 6'1", 280.
To be honest, everything that happened after K-State fell behind 34, it was just blank after that. Blur.
I wondered if what took place at Tech and then what transpired against Texas, it didn't mark the end of the season for the team, that they had just kind of chucked it in. They're going to play out the string. Look, Baylor's really good, but not that much better. I mean, they were...
K-State played really well with Baylor here, aside from the first 7 minutes. K-State fell behind 20-4 here and still lost by only 6 points.
That's my point. The fight is gone. They don't really have that fight to climb back into things right now. And it gets easier on Saturday with Kansas. That should be nice. It'll be an enjoyable day at the old ball yard. We're sponsored by the Fridge. They'll make your day enjoyable. Get into the Fridge at the corner of this and that. I need to look up a Fridge special. Riley, talk about something.
Oh, I know that the Fridge is currently selling kiwi lime natty seltzers. It's a new flavor.
Really?
Yes. I, for one, don't think I'd care for that flavor. I'm not a big kiwi guy.
I'm all right with kiwi, but
is it not kiwi lime? Kiwi strawberry. That's what it is.
Oh, that's not bad. Those two go together.
Yeah, they go together. But I just don't like kiwi a whole lot. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Who knows? Still on that Bud Light seltzer train, which is sold at the Fridge.
They're out?
No, I mean...
sold.
And found out last night that Crown Royal is bringing Crown Peach back again, and I'm sure the Fridge will have that as well.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. You're a big Crown and Peach fan.
Crown Peach, not Crown and Peach.
Crown and Peach.
I got Crown Peach. Just pour regular Crown in and squeeze the peach.
Head over to Tanner's and take some Crown and Peach shots, and I'm going to ask you, is it really any different than Crown Peach? I would read this, what is now in. Oh, there's the Natty Light right there. Yeah, that's weird. But I can't read this.
Would you like me to read it for you?
Stone Brew, never ending, I don't know. Here, read that. What does that say?
Are your eyes struggling this much?
Well,
the Stone Brewing Never Ending Haze IPA.
Okay, I was putting together.
He was trying to read Haze IPA as a word
because it's a hashtag.
Hazy Pia.
Oh my goodness.
The caffeine isn't fully registering.
Would you like me to read this, Fridge?
Go ahead.
It must be Tutti Frutti Tuesday, because check out this lineup. We've got the new Natty Seltzer House. It's called House Rules. The Stone Brewing Never Ending Haze IPA with flavors of orange, lemon, oats, lemon. They said lemon twice, and pineapple. And lastly, the Flying Embers Black Cherry Kombucha.
Wow, man, what has happened to alcohol? Seriously, what has happened to alcohol?
Tutti Frutti Tuesday. Well, it was Tutti Frutti Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. It's Whiskey Wednesday.
That sounded like an advertisement for candy.
Well, that's what the millennials like, Fitz.
Boomers unite! Get back our man drinks.
Well, you better go get some of that if you're going to listen to the first half of this podcast.
Yeah, no doubt.
We got to talk about K-State basketball.
We are going to discuss basketball in the first half of this podcast, and hang on to your britches. It may not be fun. People aren't having fun right now.
I am straight up not having a good time
with Kansas State basketball. I mean, it's our podcast numbers. Oh my goodness. People are like, oh, they're going to talk about basketball? I think I'll do the dishes. By the way, this first half is sponsored by Tanner's. I know actually, this is a rare occasion when people are like, oh yes, do some more reads. Do that instead of talk about basketball. Speaking of quality basketball, the NCAA tournament starts in a few short weeks, and at Tanner's this year, Fake Patty's Day falls Saturday, March 21st. The day is also the start of the round 2 of the NCAA tournament, and Tanner's Aggieville will not be participating in Fake Patty's Day. Instead, will focus on the NCAA tournament. If you want to come to watch some basketball, have some cold drinks, and eat some great food with your go-to spot is Tanner's. If you are coming to Aggieville just to get faked up, you know what that means. You will be turned away at the door or very quickly asked to leave. Tanner's is about hoops on this Fake Patty's Day. And you know what, guys? We are free to watch basketball for the NCAA tournament this year.
Hey, hold on. Team might get hot in Kansas City.
Holy crap. Well, let's talk about that possibility of Kansas State making a huge run here at the end of the season, winning the Big 12 championship and getting into the NCAA tournament field with a losing record. I'm sure someone's asked. Here's your questions from Wabash Station. Here's Zach.
From Purple Powerhouse, I know a lot of people now are saying that these bad seasons are just something that happens to all programs, but I just can't make myself believe it. I see no reason why we should have to suffer through awful seasons like this every 3 to 4 years. Snead, Jada, McCall-Meween should have all been ready to lead this team. Am I missing something?
Nope. Not missing anything at all. Seasons like this don't happen. Rebuilding seasons happen. And everybody wants to, all right, let's just bring it in to Bob Huggins, because everybody, for some reason, feels the need to plaster Bob Huggins out there, as he has had struggling seasons at West Virginia. That's fair. Okay, in 2012-13, he had a rebuilding season. He went 13-19, 6-13 in the conference. The next year, 17-16, 9-9 in the Big 12 conference. That's a rebuilding season. Even last year, they went 15-21. They were 4-14 in the Big 12. They were pretty bad in Big 12, but they won 15 regular season games.
But last year would have been like at West Virginia if Xavier Sneed had been suspended the entire season.
Right. They lost Issa Ahmad, a couple other players.
Yeah.
I'm blanking off the top of my head. But this is not normal. And we've been saying that for weeks.
This is the team of Bruce's choosing. There has been one unexpected departure from this team, a third-string point guard who at times might have helped. I understand that, but in reality belongs at a low Division I basketball program, which is where he's at now. This is the team of Bruce's choosing. These are his guys. He picked them on the recruiting trail. Okay, James Love III has foot injuries. Wow, that's devastating to the program. Maybe if they had Neil Sean Williams and whatever room, other names.
Attorney at law.
Yeah, you want to put in there. And James Love, they'd be 2 points better. 3 maybe. I don't know. This team isn't competitive. And again, nothing devastating has happened to this team. This was the team that it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Mac and X and Cardi and a bunch of young guys, and let's go get them. They're going to be so good. People were talking about the NCAA tournament. I never really saw that. I thought the bubble was the very far upside of this team. I don't know. It is a bad team. Did I ever imagine this bad? No, I don't think any of us did. But it's now in full collapse. And I repeat, nothing devastating has happened to this roster to cause this. What caused this was all internal. Recruiting and coaching and preparing players to step up and be leaders. None of that has taken place this year. This team's bad, and it was made to be bad.
And just when you get doubled up in the well, I guess they technically didn't get doubled up in the first half. Excuse me.
They were getting doubled up in the second half at one point. They were down 30.
Wait, no, they did. It was 50-24 at halftime. They got doubled up.
Yeah, they were still being doubled up in the second half when the lead grew to over 30.
They were trailing by 34 points at one time. They flirted with giving up the most points in one half in school history, and nearly gave up the most points in a game coached by a Bruce Weber team. Arizona State had 92 in Las Vegas a few years back in that shootout, 92-90. So there's not one good. I literally somebody was trying to make a case for the team yesterday on the boards, and they said the thing that is killing the team right now is we have no offense and our defense is not as good as it was. So basketball is bad, is what that translates to.
But they look great in warm-ups, which the announcers mentioned. They looked really good at shoot-around.
Yeah.
Notice it's called shoot-around, not make-around. Wow. Kansas State performs well at shoot-around.
From Contra Cat, clearly losing a Barry Brown as a leader as well as a Dean and Kamau was something this team wasn't ready to replace. How do you analyze Bruce on that front, considering that it seems to be the most significant deficit this squad has?
I think Bruce probably just assumed, as we all really did, hey, Cartier and Xavier will step up and be good leaders, both in terms of their play and in terms of their off-court leadership. And they'll lead the freshmen. I don't think he was expecting to have to rely on Dejuan Gordon to be a leader and Mike McGurl to be the most inspiring player on the team. I don't think he was counting on that. And to his credit, to Bruce Weber's credit, he shouldn't have to rely on them. Guys like Xavier Sneed and Cartier Giada should have stepped up this season. McCall Maywing should be a leader after being in the program for 3 years now. But guess what? None of them did. And that's on those players. That's their fault. But Bruce Weber also should have realized at some point in time and got after him. I think he's giving him a pass. Oh, well, that's just not the type of guy Xavier is. Well, it might not be the type of guy he is, but it's the type of guy he has to be.
Well, then why didn't you go find someone that was that type of guy? I mean, honestly, this didn't hit your program like a meteor, an asteroid, like it came out of nowhere. You knew for years that the core of your team were these three guys, particularly Barry Brown. Look, Dean Wade and Kamau Stokes, great players, had their great roles, but Barry was the backbone of the program for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I mean that. He was the backbone of the program for 3 years, not the coaches, Barry. This team belonged to Barry. It belonged to Roddy Magruder. Eventually it belonged to Marcus Foster. We saw where that led. And then it belonged to Barry. Now, what scares me is the way this season's unfolding. I don't know if any of these freshmen are in a spot to step up and say, this is my program next year. Maybe David Sloan. I thought Dajuan Gordon was going to get there, and boy, has he hit the wall. He's done. He's a turnover machine. He's not playing well. I think he wants this to be done. This didn't just happen. You didn't foster and create leadership within the younger ranks of your team. Nobody was prepared to step up. And if you recognize that this just isn't in their nature, which I think in hindsight we can easily say that's true of X and Cardi, excuse us for not understanding it, we're not with them every day. We assumed when you said it was going to be okay, you saw leadership in them. Now you're saying they're not leaders. Why didn't you go find a leader on the recruiting trail? And maybe you did, but if you expected a freshman really to be able to overcome what the juniors and seniors wanted to say, it obviously hasn't happened. It's very frustrating. I'm going to say it for a third time, and maybe the third time of 10. This is the team of Bruce Weber's choosing.
From PowerCat Ryan, how much is this season slowing the momentum K-State has been building since the hire of Bob Huggins?
I actually don't think it is, because that momentum got halted to a stop when Bruce Weber did this the first time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It burned it to the ground once. He's burned it to the ground twice. And maybe the rebuilds don't happen as quickly as I think they should when the problem is yours. If you inherit someone else's problem, I'm going to give you 3-4 years.
Yeah.
You need that. But when you inflict that on your own program, you don't get 3 or 4 years. This is nuts. I mean, I look back and think of the criticism I took for saying Bruce should have been removed. There was no way to know that he was going to go Elite 8 Big 12 champion. And now everyone's saying, like, well, that's going to happen again. They'll rebuild next year, and then they'll make a run. And we don't know that. You know, just because yesterday was sunny doesn't mean tomorrow will be sunny. You just don't know. Look, he's great at putting together teams over the long run. But, man, if next year is another 5-6 win season, I don't think K-State fans are going to muster through this.
No.
This has been so much worse than what anyone else could imagine, that I'm seeing good fans, loyal fans, saying this is enough. Well, I got news for you. No change is going to be made. It just isn't going to happen. Nor should it. It's not like I'm saying that just because I don't think Gene Taylor will make a move. He shouldn't make a move. They're coming off a Big 12 championship. Let's give the coach another year to see what kind of progress he can make with this. And by progress, I mean they better be in the middle of this conference. Because if being in the middle of the conference is too much to ask, what has happened to K-State basketball? I mean, this is what I went through last time. But they went 8-10. Oh, so being below average is cool. I'm not cool with that. Is being average in your conference on a consistent basis too much to ask? It shouldn't be. But now we look at Bruce's overall record. I don't have it in front of me. His Big 12 record, it's got to be right back down there, right around 500.
His overall record at K-State is 159 and 108.
How about his conference record? You got that?
I don't have that handy right now. I can work to get it.
It's just so frustrating. He's going to get another year, folks. He's going to get another year. But I'm going to say it right now. And I want everyone to understand that I'm saying it now and not next season when there's struggles. You don't get to devastate your own roster and then have an excuse that we're so young. You under-recruited for years, and now you've got having to go out and get 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the recruiting class. You don't get to say, well, we're really young. Well, why is that? You got to pick up the pieces and move forward with it.
This is Bruce Weber's, 8th season right now? He's 71-70 in Big 12 play. And if he loses out the rest of the season, these last 3 games, he'll be 71-73.
Ouch.
I thought Kellis said it really well on the Insiders podcast. It's not like this is the first time this has happened at K-State. It's not like this is the first time it's happened in his career. This is just what happens. And if you're okay accepting that, then I guess you are. But some of us are not.
Very good.
From K-Ned, why is it teams are only a reflection of the coach when they are winning, but it is players who don't get it when they are losing?
Yeah, exactly. I don't get that. A lot of talk out there right now about Bruce Weber not being responsible for this team, or Bruce Weber doing as good of a coaching job with this team as anyone else would do. You know what a bad coaching job is? Scoring 1 bucket in the first 7 minutes of the game for 3 straight games, because that's what's happened to this team.
Well,
That's bad coaching.
Because I've got news for some of you that want to say it's the players. These are the players of his choosing. Have I said that? This is the team he put on the court. He gets to go out and recruit guys and bring them to the program, and this is what he's chosen for this team.
I think there's an echo in here.
I know. Yeah, it's the players only scoring the points, but who picked them?
How's their offense this bad?
Well, his offenses are never good.
But this is bad.
His offenses are never good. He's a defensive coach, and they are only good when you have guys that just go get buckets. Like, I can hit a three-pointer here. I can break down the defense and get to the rim there. They just don't have those guys. They can't shoot from the outside, and they can't consistently score driving to the rim.
They can't score 70.
This is what you're left with. And the problem is now is their defense has fallen off the edge of the table so bad. By halftime, they couldn't possibly outscore the other team, even if they do a great job on defense in the second half. They just can't overcome these deficits when teams score 40, 50 points in the first half. Baylor scored more than 50 points at halftime, by halftime. K-State isn't going to beat that. The game was over. They were lucky to break 50.
Somebody said if Baylor took a shot clock violation every possession of the second half, would we have a chance? And I said, are you asking me if the worst offensive team in the Big 12 can more than double their production in the second half? I'll take Baylor.
Yeah, and they ended up doing it only because Baylor said, okay, go have some buckets.
Yeah.
From ContraCat, how serious do you take the end of this season if the guys can't rally for one win on the back half of conference play?
Honestly, I don't take it any more serious than it is right now, because I'll be honest with you, if they finish 2-1, let's just hypothetically say they lose to KU, but they beat Oklahoma State and they beat Iowa State, I don't think this is any better. Why is 4-14 just amazing, that much more amazing than 2-16? Aside from beating KU, I don't really care what happens this season. Oh, you beat 9th place Oklahoma State, which has 2 more wins than you. One of those which is already you. You beat Iowa State without Tyrese Halliburton. Cool. I only care if you beat KU at this point. That shows me that, at least you cared enough to play KU. I really don't care.
Yeah.
It's that bad. It is that bad.
Yeah, really. You're right. Only beating KU at this point does anything to salvage the season. Beating Iowa State or Oklahoma State.
Cool.
Who else they got? Texas? No,
That's it.
That's it.
Just 3
Oh,
games.
God. It's
one more week.
The Band-Aid is almost ripped off. Beating Kansas can only salvage any kind of respect. Any other win doesn't matter. Unless they go on a run in Kansas City. But, yeah, I'll sell you some great property along the Paseo if that's going to happen.
From I Like Pickles Cat, can we bounce back from this season in 2021, or will we have to start a slow climb from the bottom again?
You're not going to contend. You're not going to be a top 4 team. You hope you can be a 6th place team. How sad is that? Mm-hmm. Your ceiling is 6th place next year, probably. And again, I've said it probably publicly, and I've said it to a lot of people in text. I'm really worried that a lot of people out there are really banking on these freshmen suddenly coming in and being everybody out there seeing the numbers that Selton Miguel is putting up in high school and thinking that he's going to come in here and drop 27 on KU, and Kazuki's going to go for 50 against Baylor. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Well, you know what's going to happen? They're going to have some nice games. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they'll have a 20-point game at some time. But then they're going to have an 0 for 8 game or a 2 for 10. And they're going to turn the ball over 6 times. That's what freshmen do if you're not an elite 5-star freshman that's going to the draft. So, yeah, you can maybe, like everybody said it, I think K-State will be better next year. You know why? Because it can't be much worse than this.
No.
From Power Cat Ryan, how bad would next year have to be to fire Bruce Weber?
That's too vague. You know, I'd love to give you an answer, Ryan. I'd love to say hard and fast. You kind of need to know what the context of the season is, too. I mean, I just said that having a young team isn't a good excuse, but what if they have 3 injuries? You know, what if they have a bunch of injuries and you really can't get an assessment of the team? Well, even with injuries, if they repeat this, yeah, probably.
Well, and, you know, let's say they go 3-15. No. Yeah, 3-15 in conference play, but they went, 13-1 or whatever in non-conference play, and they beat some quality opponent. Like this year is a disaster in conference play, but it's also extra bad because they were really bad in the non-conference too. Mm-hmm. What if next year's non-conference is pretty good? So there's a lot of different moving parts there. I do think anything in of a conference record under 5, 5-13 was what they went in that disastrous season with the Foster team and everything like that. I think if you're under 5-13, you might be having some conversations about it, but I don't know what Gene Taylor's thinking. I don't know where that bar is set. And like Fitz said, there's a lot of different factors that would go into it in order to change things.
From TN Cat, we know that Bruce Weber isn't going anywhere, but do you expect Gene Taylor to possibly suggest he makes some changes to his staff?
Nope.
No.
Even if he suggested it, what would happen? He's not going to fire Jermaine Henderson. He just got hired. He's not going to fire Chris Lowry because he's going to take him to the grave. I must say that's a bad way to put it, but he's going to take him to the grave with him. The only person that could potentially be changed is Brad Korn, and he hasn't done it yet. Why is he going to do it now?
And what would with that?
Exactly. Well,
it's not like football where you bring in a defense coordinator and they run a whole different defense. I mean, they're going to run the same stuff next year. This is Bruce's stuff. I mean, they're going to continue to do what Bruce wants. I mean, changing recruiting at this level, if one coach is glaringly bad at game prep and they lose every game that coach prepares over a span of time, I get it, but that doesn't prove out on this team. They're just bad right now. You change a recruiting aspect of your team in basketball when you change an assistant coach. Now, maybe it's fair to say you need to look at recruiting over the long span and make sure you're consistently doing it. As coaches say, and Tom Asbury used to always say, recruiting's like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you look like a bum. And they look like bums right now because they recruited every day, but they didn't really recruit every day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like they went through the motions, but they didn't really do it. They went out and watched recruits, but they didn't recruit them well. I mean, just going out to watch a bunch of games doesn't mean you're recruiting. It means you're watching a bunch of games. Now, they're not going to change anyone on the staff because Gene knows this, and he'll never, ever say it. Not only will one change on the coaching staff not make a difference, but then he's had a change on the coaching staff and maybe still has to fire the staff. Now he brought in a guy to unemploy a guy. This is your staff? He's going to ask, is this what you want to have for this season? Because I know Gene, he will say, we got to see improvement. Again, it'll be vague. It won't be hard and fast. You got to get to 500 in the conference. That's not the way ADs work unless they're real jerks. I mean, There's too many unknowns, too many outside factors for the negative and for the positive, people. Do I think last year's team most seasons wins a Big 12 title? Probably not. But the outside factors were they were good enough to win. I think Tech was the better team last year. But they ended up tied with them, and that's cool. They split with them. I understand how it works. I get it. But if you look back over the long stretch of Kansas State basketball, that first Big 12 championship team he had, think about the players on that team. Back up and think about Magruder and J.O. and Gibson.
Tay.
Montavious. Angel. That's some dudes. They were just a good team. He did a great job coaching that team. Great job of stepping in and forming a team from the pieces he inherited. And he's just best off when it kind of feels like these are my pieces that I've inherited, and they're pretty good pieces. Let's put them together. We've got a leader in the locker room. His name's Rodney, Barry, whatever his name is. Who's going to step up and fill the breach that is caused by a lack of leadership on this team, an inability to go identify leaders and cultivate leaders? I mean, that's the greatest gift a boss, a coach, whatever you want to define it, has. Identifying and cultivating leaders, people that can get it done. When you can't be in charge, who is in charge? That's the biggest thing about sports teams. The coach isn't on the field. And Bruce said it. He said it after that Tech fiasco. We need guys that are coachable and will be coaches on the court. And that's not happening.
From Fervent Purple, will the all-lavender uniforms go down in history like the Cats script font in football? I like the all-lavenders, but I think they will always remind me of this historically awful season.
No. This is a bad year. K-State basketball is not perpetually bad and the worst team in America and has been for years.
Let's have something nice out of this season. They did uniforms right.
They're also alternates.
Right.
They're not
They
the
wore 'em
major
twice.
It's okay.
Yeah, let's enjoy something about this season. I love the Wildcat script jerseys. I love the lavenders. I wish they'd changed the pants and the striping on the main uniforms, but so be it. They're still okay.
The black ones are sexy.
The black ones are okay.
God, those shorts. I don't know why I love them, but I do.
We got
Turn ahead the clock, Major League Baseball.
We got a split on the committee here. One loves the use of the Power Cat on the shorts. The other one does not. I am with Riley.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that it?
No.
There's still more.
Okay.
From Cliff Clavin 754, what percentage of fans this coming Saturday will be wearing purple and what percentage will be wearing red and blue? I feel he fears a return to the Asbury/Woolley days of an arena with thousands of Squawk fans in it.
Got a text from my best friend last night. He's a KU fan.
Oh, now we find out.
He's coming to the game on Saturday because he got 2 tickets on the 10th row of Section 10 for $20 each. 2 tickets on the 10th row right by the K-State bench for $20 each. And if you go to kstatesports.com, they're selling the tickets for like $100.
Yeah, so you got him from a ticket holder.
Guys, I wouldn't pay $40 to go to this game if I didn't have a free credential to go. Why? Why would you pay $100? K-State, call up your fans right now, whether they're current ticket holders, former ticket holders, an alumni that doesn't have season tickets. Call up K-State fans and sell them tickets very cheap. Nobody is paying $100 to come to this game except for KU fans.
Nobody is paying anything to come to this game right now. That's a great price he got. Name me a K-State fan, other than one that is in town that weekend from New York, or I never see him play. I never get to go to Bramlage. A fan that's had an opportunity to see K-State all season long, are they going to choose this game to come to? Are they going to choose this game to spend their money, even if it's $20, to go sit and watch Bill Self and the rest of KU metaphorically shove a stool up their team's butt?
And at the under 4 timeout, that chant breaks out. I'm not talking about the FKU chant. I'm talking about KU's chant. And it fills Bramlage Coliseum. All because of this season.
Hey, this is what you get. You don't win games, fans don't show up. You open up the door to the other fans. It is, in some ways, exactly what happened under Asbury and Woldridge. And we've had this discussion on the message board. Is this like that? No, because this is a one-season thing. That was a prolonged illness. This is like a really, really bad start of what could be something prolonged, and you don't want it to be, but this will be a good sampling of what life will be like if this continues.
Last question of the first half from ContraCat. If you have to put up $100 of your own money, what line are you setting for Saturday?
I would put $100 down on K-State to cover the spread if it was KU favored by 18 points. And I'm only giving K-State a little credit because it's in Bramlage. And I think it'll be pretty rowdy for a little bit of time.
I would need 19.5. So they'll
So 20.
lose by less than 20.
I'll give you that, yeah. Less than
probably
20.
right.
Less than 20 points.
But
Look, I think it's going to be close for a little bit because it'll be really loud at the start of the game. And at the under 16 timeout, maybe K-State's leading 6-4. Man. God forbid I ask them to score 6 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. I know.
That'd be highlight reel stuff.
Yeah, really. We'd have more than 45 seconds of a highlight.
At the team banquet, remember when we beat UNLV, who went on to beat San Diego State. And then we led Kansas at the first timeout 6-4. The memories we will hold on to. Oh, and beat West Virginia, who ended up to beat pretty average anyhow.
Guys, KU is playing like the national champions right now. They're so good.
Azubuike is.
How are they going to stop him? I know we said that last time.
People, if you haven't been watching Kansas, this is a different Doak. This dude is mean, lean, and a fighting machine. He moves. He's so good right now. He's really good in the college game. I'm with you. I don't know where he fits in the NBA, but in the context of college, good luck. Good luck to anyone who attempts to stop him. It's going to take the officials to do it in the NCAA tournament. But that seems to happen, doesn't it? We'll be back on the PowerCat Questions podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, with questions about other stuff. We've pulled the Band-Aid off. Men's basketball is mostly done.
Stay locked in. The PowerCat podcast will be right back.
Picture this nightmare scenario. You're hosting friends for the big game. It's neck and neck in the fourth quarter, and suddenly you realize you're out of drinks. You start to sweat. Your friends start to turn on you. You're forced to go on a last-second drink run and end up missing the game-winning touchdown while in line. Terrifying, isn't it? Luckily, you can avoid the drama with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits, then get them delivered right to your watch party. Compare prices across multiple stores in your area, find the best deals on game day drinks, and get back to armchair quarterbacking from, you guessed it, your armchair. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Diets and workouts, you've done the work, so why can't you get to your goal weight? That's because up to 70% of your weight is predetermined by your genetics. So while you've been told that it's all about your willpower, you're actually fighting your biology. Don't do it alone. Found's Doctor Design program uses medication as part of a treatment plan that targets your body's unique biological needs, so that your body works with you and not against you. Take the quiz at joinfound.com to see if Found's weight loss program is right for you.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC gig-powered studios.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Questions podcast, the original podcast that covers Kansas State sports. I don't even know how long we've been doing this podcast.
Well, I was in high school. I know.
Man, Shane Howard started it. Shane's like 47 now. That's not true at all.
I just remember that was just what I did during the weeks. I listened to this podcast. I listened to Mike Tufano's podcast.
Wow.
Salute.
Yeah, Mike T. I like that his Twitter handle is the real Mike T.
As if there's another one.
There might be. I don't know. He's only Mike T to me.
I don't even know who Mike Tyson is. Oh, wait. Wait.
Like Tuiasosopo.
That guy. We're sponsored by The Fridge. We talked about them a lot. They've got weird flavored weird stuff. If you like that in your weird mouth, go get it. You're weird.
They've also got normal flavored stuff that you can consume as well.
If you are a traditionalist and don't like fruity flavors in your alcohols that shouldn't be fruitified or seltzerified, get into The Fridge. They have all that stuff too. If you want to just walk in and say, give me a Pabst Blue Ribbon 6-pack, they probably have that for you.
They'll sell it to you, I'm sure.
The Fridge, the corner of this and that, somewhere in this town, we hope. I mean, maybe someone stole it.
You think The Fridge would ever open up another location in Manhattan?
You can't in the state of Kansas.
What?
Unless that changed the latest liquor laws. It might have. You could only have one liquor sales license.
But you have to have one license for every store. You can't just like open up 3 stores on one license.
I see you baffled, but I think if they wanted to do it under the same ownership group,
That's probably. I'm trying to think of other liquor stores that.
But I
have
mean,
2 locations, but
they
I
could
can't
just
think of
pull
any.
another manager or somebody and get his liquor license, right? Go open up another.
Then you make
Fridge.
him an owner, basically.
It's probably like Chick-fil-A, 1 franchisee per store.
What's the big liquor stores in Kansas City? If you watch their ad, there's only one on the Kansas side.
McCormick's? Or no. It's something.
We've got
It's
to
a
bleep
thing
all
that-
these out.
Yeah.
It's the thing that Joel Goldberg advertises for, right?
Yes.
Goldman's?
We're not going to talk about it. Quit trying to guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's only one on the Kansas side. I think they might have changed that. I don't know. If so, I'm not sure he would. But putting a big old fridge on the other side of town or in Junction City might be a good idea. I don't know.
Oh, well.
We're also sponsored by the High Low, which gets their liquor from the fridge. And it's delicious with alcohol. I'm not sure if they're participating in Fake Patty's Day. You know, if you remember Fake Patty's Day for what it was, everyone had their foot in the pool. But now, So Long and Taco Lucha close. Annie Mae stays open for regulars until about midnight or something.
Campus Barbershop closes.
You
I mean,
can't even get a drunk haircut.
just sad.
Back when I was in high school and Fake Patty's Day was first beginning, I definitely did get haircuts on Fake Patty's Day. It was a tradition.
Yeah,
fun.
everyone's bailing. It's too big of a hassle.
Cold Stone probably closes after their window got shattered that one year.
And what's amazing is it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
It is so tame compared to what it was when people were lined up at bars at 9 a.m. and they were trying to have the road race and people are barfing not runners during the road race. I mean, it's just so tame compared to that. And now all the heavy drinking is all around town like I predicted it would be.
It's more fun.
You
It's
squeeze the toothpaste tube, and the toothpaste goes everywhere. And that's what the city did with Aggieville. They squeezed it, and people took their parties elsewhere. Anyhow, go to the High Low. Fake Patty's Day or not, wonderful place, wonderful service, great food, unique drinks. Man,
best pizza in town.
yeah, it really is. AJ's Pizza served at High Low. Let's get going now with your questions from Wabash Station. Let's not stall anymore. We covered Tragedy. Wow. That is men's basketball in the first half. Let's move on to other topics, including some basketball. Here we go.
From KNED, Gene Taylor said jersey retirements will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Did he say who is on the committee to review each case, and how do I get on it?
Yeah, he did not say who was specifically on the committee. KNED would be an interesting selection, considering how in detailed he goes on the boards with his rafter reviews. Those are pretty good.
Absolutely.
I thought it
KNED, email me at tim.fitzgerald@gopowercat.com. Shoot me an email. I'll make your presence known to Gene. We need to get moving on this.
I thought it was an interesting. I appreciate Gene's time, first off, for the story. That was telling for me. And I'm not totally blaming Gene, but I'm not also giving him a free pass on this because Gene has been here since 2017, and they've had no discussions about jersey retirements, he said, if you didn't read the story. And I just think I think it's a little irresponsible of K-State to not have any conversations whatsoever, especially since the topic has been brought up multiple times over the last 3 years.
I agree. I mean, it's just, when was the last time they did this?
2009.
This is another function of not having enough K-Staters in the department. The department's really well run. It's not like I'm complaining that they don't do a good job. This is a really good athletics department. But they just don't, they're not tapped into these things. You know, there's one prominent person that's a K-Stater, but this should be done. I mean, there's just, as KNED has pointed out, there's just a couple guys, Dick Knotzman and Rick Harmon, that absolutely should be up in the rafters.
Knotzman's up there.
Okay, who am I?
You're thinking of Ed Neely.
Howie Shannon.
Oh, yes, him too.
There's a couple old-timers, Howie Shannon and Rick Harmon, that need to be in the rafters. Absolutely should be in the rafters. Howie Shannon's a two-time All-American.
On the Final Four team.
Not in the rafters. And then you come to Ed Neely. And the problem with Ed is, was it KNED that pointed out, he was an eye of the beholder type guy. You had to, stats don't properly dignify his value in K-State basketball history. But he was incredibly special.
I told the guys the other day, if you'd have put a gun to my head and asked me if Steve Henson was in the rafters, I would have said yes, because I just thought he was. And he's not. Oh, yeah, and then, by the way, there's the all-time leading scorer in program history, Jacob Holen, and Michael Beasley, who potentially had the greatest season in the history of K-State basketball.
Now, I know those are the guys, when people are saying we need to get these guys in the rafters, folks, we got some cleaning up in aisle one to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't put – I love Jake and Mike to death. Like, I want them up there as bad as anybody does, but I don't want to see them up there before some of these older guys because the further along we get from them – A, we don't know how much longer those people are going to be with us.
They're not. The older guys aren't.
And B, we're going to forget about them if we continue to go on and on and on.
They have been forgotten.
Exactly.
They have been forgotten by the people that matter that are deciding that, because right now nobody's deciding that. It's time to move on this. I don't think there's any doubt. And in a season that will clearly be rebuilding, how about they tie next season's promotional campaign to the history and put a bunch of guys in the rafters throughout the season. We just named, 6 guys that belong there? Maybe try to arrange it where you have some kind of historical reference, all 9 home basketball games in the conference.
Where do you sit on Mike?
Mike belongs up there.
Thank you.
He absolutely belongs. I don't care if it was one season. He was the best player in college basketball that season.
Hands down.
Man.
He was, I will argue that Michael Beasley had one of the most dominant college basketball seasons, was one of the most dominant college basketball players ever. I mean, really.
Right.
Think about it. And the only reason, you would know this better than us, I always got the vibe that he loved K-State. I think he probably loved it just as much as all of us, but he had a chance to do something good for his family, and everybody in the world would do that.
Well, I believe he has now said he wished he'd stayed a second season.
Yeah, I mean, he's said that before.
And he really got pressured into going pro to get money for the family.
It would have been dumb to not.
It seemed like he was a surefire hit, but he wasn't maturity-wise. He wasn't ready for the league, let alone getting sent to Miami. I'm not ready for that. I've said that over and over. He needed to be in Minnesota or Milwaukee or someplace like that, like Kansas State, where he's in a contained bubble and he's not able to go run wild like he did in Miami. But anyhow,
I just wanted to make
he
sure.
belongs up there. Barry eventually belongs up there.
Probably so.
Dean, maybe. This is why you wait 5 years. This is a perfect example. Will a 5-year waiting period make it clear that Dean belongs in the rafters or does not belong in the rafters?
We'll get clarity on that.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. But I think next season, when you could have a roster of 10 guys or so that are freshmen and sophomores, would be a great time to remind the fans and the players how good K-State basketball was through the years, and put those guys up in the rafters and have other things tied to the history of Kansas State basketball every Big 12 home game. I know some of those are going to fall on Tuesdays, so maybe you tie the rafters ones into the Saturday games as best you can. Maybe if you have a big non-conference game on a Saturday at home, like Wichita State. Boy, like how I tied those together.
Play South Carolina in the SEC Challenge and retire Jake.
That's honestly...
They'll never do it. They'll never do it unless Frank retires.
Honestly, that's... To get Jake up there in the short period of time, that's what you need to do. He wants Frank there. Frank's a little busy during basketball. The only way to do it is to have South Carolina come in for the SEC Challenge and play him.
If only.
It seems like that would be a good move in a season in which you're trying to get fans in the stands next year, because it's going to be a struggle, I think. Just let's get going on this. Let's get moving. Let's stop talking about it. And KNET, do email me, and I will pass that on in a letter to Gene and say, you know, I can find people to be on the committee if you want. Let's get going.
A couple women's hoops questions from KSU Cat 80. Will the Lady Cats make the NCAA tournament?
Probably not. No, they're 500 in Big 12 play right now, which is fine. They've made it under 500 in Big 12 play before, but the problem is their non-conference was just really bad.
They really struggled.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, they played like Oregon in the non-con. I mean, they played like 3-4 ranked teams in their non-conference. So, yes, they did battle test themselves, but you only get so much credit for battle testing yourself before it's kind of like, okay, you got to start winning some games.
I'm less definitive on it. I think if they have a little surge here, win a couple games, and they're in Kansas City this year, right?
Yeah.
They could get over the hump because of that schedule and the Big 12 kind of being the league conference in women's basketball.
They weren't on Charlie Cream's bubble. Charlie Cream is the Joe Lunardi of women's hoops.
Is he a dork too?
Not as much of a dork as Joe Lunardi. They were not on the bubble the other night. They are currently 13-12 overall, and they're 7-7 in Big 12 play. So here's their remaining schedule. Tonight they play Iowa State at home. Then they go to Baylor, to Oklahoma State, home against KU. I think you can go 3-1. I think they'll probably go 2-2. They'll probably lose tonight. Let's hypothetically say they go 3-1, so they're 16-13. And that would make them 10-8 in the Big 12. Maybe you're a bubble team, and then you go win a game in Kansas City and sneak in as a very low seed. I would expect they will be a high seed in the WNIT and host. So we'll see how that crowd would be. I'll go cover it.
Also from KSU Cat 80, how good is Aoka Lee?
One of the best players in college basketball right now.
It's amazing.
I tweeted this the other day. I don't know a lot of women's basketball players out there, in fairness, outside of the Big 12, but I can't imagine there's a freshman out there better than her. She's won like 11 straight Big 12 Freshman of the Week honors. She's averaging a double-double.
Her numbers are amazing. At any level, any year of your competition, she's a freshman.
It's really remarkable what she's doing, and I think her production might suffer a little bit next year when you lose Peyton Williams. I mean, you're gonna lose a little bit of that 1-2 punch down there.
Yeah, you can just focus on her.
But you also are bringing in another program's tallest player under Jeff Mittie next year, in Taylor Lauterbach, 6'7".
Jeez.
They make women at 6'7". Do you know that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. If you were back on Farmers Only, you'd know this.
So, yeah, we'll see how she progresses, but it definitely looks like she's off to a very impressive start to her career. And next year, hopefully, is better if they can get some guard play.
From some football questions now from Lady Cat in Texas. How is Coach Snyder doing, and do you run into him?
No, I don't. I think he's fine, and no, I don't run into him. I think he travels quite a bit, goes out and speaks.
He's been at some basketball games.
Yeah.
God bless his soul.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to go.
Yeah. It's just very interesting now with Sean heading to L.A.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So,
she asked this next. Did he have any influence on Sean getting hired at USC?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Sean's got a pretty good reputation for special teams, and USC was really bad. Nebraska was bad. Texas was bad. All those schools wanted him, and USC was the one that gave him an actual coaching position, not an analyst position.
I'm sure somebody called Bill Snyder and said,
"Oh yeah,
what do you think of?"
Like you'd give him a bad reference,
right? It's tough to ask your dad or ask the person's dad to give them a critical job performance evaluation.
He didn't put his toys away when he was a kid.
I mean, in that sense, yeah, sure, Bill Snyder had influence, but it's not like Bill Snyder had a long-standing relationship with Clay Helton and called in a favor, like we kind of speculated with that North Carolina thing. Rumors a year ago. No, I mean I think Sean was qualified for the position. USC needed somebody that was willing to potentially coach on a 1-year staff. That is Sean. So yeah, I mean it's probably a good hire for them. It's a good opportunity for Sean.
Like he got a 2-year contract, so he was wise in that.
Ryan Black has I haven't read it yet, an extensive Q&A with Sean about the job. So I'm really interested to see kind of what he had to say. I would suggest you people go read that in the Manhattan Mercury if you're interested in hearing what Sean had to say. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think he'll be out of a job in a year, but I don't think that'll be Sean's fault, and I think that'll be Clay Helton's fault.
It's almost like Ryan's boss is one of Sean's best friends. Huh. I don't know how that works.
Damn.
From Oiler Cat, any word if Taylor Bratt is going to get some additional staff with some coaching salary money opening up?
Nothing has been announced.
Asking this question reminds me it's time to revisit that.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's been asked before. I haven't had the answer to it. I finally just wanted to get that out there and clear it up. We don't know because we haven't gotten anything official. We haven't asked yet. We'll dig into it a little bit. But as it sits right now, and based on what I've seen in terms of recruiting on the Twitter world and everything, it still looks like it's Taylor Bratt and Hank Jacobs doing the main, coaches, yes. But
and there are younger guys that help out. But as far as the question being full-time people that really pitch in, not that we're aware of directly on recruiting.
We'll get an answer. We'll probably have a couple press conferences here in a few weeks. We could probably ask that question.
I mean, like our former photographer, Emily Starkey, actually works for football. That salary was added, and she's the one that takes all the pictures of all the recruits when they come in. She does the photography at games, one of them. She does a lot of things to promote recruiting, but she's not recruiting. So she's kind of a fringe recruiting person. That position was added. And they needed to build up the social end of recruiting, which they've done a great job with. But you're right; they need more help in the raw, development. And maybe there's people their full-time jobs are actually hosting, which Taylor kind of does, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to have someone that can just carry that and be in charge of that.
From Cam Wildcat, I was really hoping to see Connor Fox get in a few games last year at tight end to get him a little experience. Do you know or have coaches addressed what held him back?
I mean, the way you got to look at it is they had Blaise Gammon and they had Nick Lenners as the starters. And they were very yes, they had a lot of drops. They weren't great tight ends, but they were productive.
Right.
They did what they needed to do. And then they had Sammy Wheeler, who was a very good third option at tight end until he blew out his knee. Yeah, sure. Maybe I would have liked to have seen him on
Logan
the field.
Long moved into that.
Yeah,
role.
Logan Long. Forgot about him.
They just had too much traffic in front of him, I think. I mean, to play him, you weren't going to play someone else. And he never asserted his ability, apparently, to displace one of those guys.
I wish we could have seen him just because, but I wish we could have seen all the freshmen. It's tough to get 20-some players onto the field and truly evaluate some raw potential. And, by the way, you're trying to win Big 12 football games.
Yeah, they didn't have, coming down the home stretch, the last half of the season, they didn't have a big home blowout where those guys would be dressed and you could get them into the game. And they were in competitive games, so and now that isn't the time you start messing with stuff unless you really believe in them like some of those freshman running backs.
Now, if a guy like Connor Fox doesn't see the field this coming season, then it starts to become a topic.
It's going to, some of these guys that didn't play, didn't do the 4 games or fewer this season, it'll be interesting to see where they fit in come spring.
From Purple Powerhouse, does our team really need Ben Newman to come around and make rah-rah speeches and drop contrived slogans like pound the stone in order to motivate the team? I love almost everything about the new regime, but that's probably my least favorite aspect of it.
I think it was a really cool way to get people to buy into the new culture and new coaches and everything, and it got people excited on social media. And it's still going to get people excited on social media. I have a slight problem with how much Ben Newman likes to take credit for what's happening on the field. Mm-hmm. That's my only problem with it. It seems like his social media, he considers himself a coach. Direct to success.
I'm not a big fan of it. I've been, I see why they have him, but is that still needed into the future? I'm not sure. Pound the stone isn't his phrase. He borrowed it. I find it interesting that Purple Powerhouse is a weights guy, and this is what he agrees that, you've got a weight, strength and conditioning guy. Coach Dawson's pretty motivating in himself.
He's got to stick around, though. Him and Kleiman have been friends for God knows how many years.
They're tight. The connection at North Dakota State was Chris Kleiman, not the program. He's no longer involved in Fargo.
Here's what's interesting, is he doesn't just do K-State.
Oh, no.
He's with Alabama, man.
He's got other basketball programs. He's got other...
Michigan State basketball.
He's got non-revenue sports he does. This is his job. He's on retainer, basically, from a bunch of programs to fly around and kind of be their motivator. What a job. Read a bunch of motivational books, borrow what you can, and carve your own shtick out and put together some good over-the-top speeches and get paid 6 figures.
If you're tired of pound the stone now, just wait until the marketing department pounds that stone into the ground for the next 5 years.
Keep pounding.
If I hear win the dang day one time after spring ball starts, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it, man.
Pound the dang stone. I'm with you. Marketing's going to be interesting this year.
Last question of the podcast from PowerCat Ryan. How will not having a spring game affect the type of coverage you would like to have?
I don't think it's actually going to affect us at all. Aside from the actual game itself, where all we did was
covered
notes about what we saw on the field. We're still going to, I assume.
Now, if this was under Coach Snyder, it'd be a disaster.
Yeah.
But we get lots of opportunities under Coach Kleiman to go to portions of practice, little snippets here, to go see, to have players in spring. Coach Snyder would pretty much open the door the first early in spring practice. It wouldn't even be before spring practice. It would be 4 or 5 practices in, and then we might have one in the middle, but I think that went away, and then we ended up with the one after the game.
What did we have last year? 3 maybe press conferences?
It's basically weekly, yeah.
I think we got coaches.
We got each coordinator.
Times. Yeah, we got a lot of media opportunities last year, and I don't know if they're going to be the same amount this year. I think a lot of the reason we got so much media was trying to meet the new coaches for the first time and really talk to them a lot, but I hope we get the same amount, and to my knowledge we will, so we'll see. But the spring football coverage was never about the game last year. It was about everything leading up to the game. everything about practice, what it meant moving forward. We hardly did any spring game coverage. So, and we'll still have Zach's highlight video.
I'll miss filming the game.
The biggest thing is we don't get game highlights, which are better video than practice stuff. That's the biggest thing, really.
I lose. Everybody else wins.
And that's the way we need it to be.
We like it that way. That's been it for this podcast. That's it for this podcast. I guess that's what I meant to say. The podcast is over. That's where I'm trying to go with this. Shout out to our guy, Purple Powerhouse. He, too, is a fellow cancer warrior. He is going through chemotherapy while teaching school. I don't know how he's doing this. Teaching, I think, a bunch of junior high kids while undergoing chemotherapy. Well, not at the same time. That'd be weird to have them standing around you.
I would argue that they would learn a lot.
Yeah. Keep fighting, buddy. Stage 4 lung cancer in the battle. Blessings to you. The whole Wabash Station crowd is behind you. Keep fighting. And that's it for this week's podcast. We will be back on Friday with an overtime. And it's going to be funny. Damn it, it's going to be funny.
You've been listening to the Power Cat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Power Cat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.